Right, it's time for this week's Ask GMBN. I've got Chris Smith in the room today to help me out with some good answers, hopefully. Right, let's get straight in there. These questions all come from the comment section of last week's Ask GMBN, not the Dirt Shed show, and generally using the hashtag Ask GMBN. So start with Peter Dubicki. Hey guys, I use mirrored lenses on my goggles. I've gone through quite a few lenses now due to scratches from trying to clean off mud and rain on the trail by using the microfiber on your gloves. You quite often get them, don't you? Yeah. Any tips on cleaning mud and water off my lenses so I don't get any more scratches?
Nice little tip I've got for you is actually Rain-X. It's a car product which you spray on your windscreen to stop all that rain actually collecting up. If you give the goggles or your glasses a squirt of that stuff, it actually stops that rain even sitting on there in the first place. It just literally runs straight
Never
off.
tried that.
So it's a pretty good one.
I would say I used to love using mirrored lenses, but I used to be sponsored by a gold company and they're about 30 quid each, these lenses. Yeah. So I didn't use them in mud ever.
Yeah.
But what I do if stuff is really muddy, I'll actually take the lens out, don't touch it, because you'll scratch it when it's dry, and just run it under a tap until it's really wet and just wash it all off and then use like a towel to clean it off.
Think about when you're actually using those glasses as well, obviously when you're climbing back up to the top of those runs, just whip them off and stick them in a bit of tissue or a goggle carry bag. Protects them pretty good as well, so yeah.
It's expensive business buying lenses. Right, Joey Hoffland Films, it's got a Specialized Stump Jumper 29 and a hardtail 2012 edition. The headset looks like it's tapered, but it's got a RockShox Reba fork, which is straight. Could you adapt it to change the forks on that bike? Yeah,
a few different options there. The first one and the cheapest one is probably to look at that crown race, which is the bottom part of the headset, which sits on top of the fork crown and bottom of the steerer. That you can get in lots of different options, 1 1/8" and 1.5. So that'd probably be the cheapest way of doing it.
I think a good piece of advice is go to the Cane Creek website. There's a headset finder on there, so you can measure things, work out exactly what you've got and how you can adapt it. But I'd say it's probably pretty likely you can adapt it. Red Spacebar. Hey guys, I'm trying to get new pedals because the ones I'm using right now are the stock plastic ones that came with the bike. And I don't know what type of pedals to get. I ride street and occasionally small trails and my feet are an average size.
Yeah, so first bit of advice is get rid of those plastic pedals if you're riding street. Pedals is obviously a really important contact point in that bike, so swapping that around is going to give you a lot more confidence, especially going to those like street maneuvers, a decent alloy pedal. What are you thinking, Tom?
Yeah, well I was going to say actually Crank Brothers do stamps in normal size, I think they call them. Large. I actually run normal size, so I've got size UK8. That's
large on my
42 or something like that. They've actually brought them out in a really cheap, the budget edition called the Stamp one, which is plastic, but they've got metal pins, which makes the world difference. But there's loads of good pedal brands out there that do different size pedals, so that does make a difference. Think
about what foot weight you're combining with that as well, like a decent riding shoe, like a sticky sole shoe, can make a world of difference too.
Here's a video on how to choose some pedals.
Pedals are one of the things on a bike that are actually taken for granted, but they're very important to get right. And the reason for that is the fact that they're your major contact point, but also they dramatically change the way the bike rides and how you feel on that. At GMBN, we're supported by Crank Brothers, which works out pretty well for us because they make flat pedals and clipless pedals. So Blake loves the flats. Personally, I'm a clip sort of fan. And it generally suits the way we ride. But here behind me, I've got a whole bunch of different pedals and shoes. And I'm going to walk you through the best way to select the right pedal for you.
Right, it's a good one for you, Chris. This guy, Backpack, is a BMX street rider who recently bought a dirt jumper and is wondering how far he can push a dirt jumper in the streets when it can't, obviously consider it comes without pegs and with brakes.
Just as capable as a BMX, I reckon, like if not
street
more
stuff.
capable. Yeah, street stuff. You mentioned in like pegs, so you'd probably be into your grinds and that. I think a while back, Marzocchi actually did do a fork which you can combine pegs with. Yeah, an old school one, mine. But there's different ways of putting pegs on as well, and there's all sorts of grinds you can do. You have pedal grinds, chainring grinds, lots of stuff. Guys like Mac McDuff and all the Rise, those guys do loads of creative riding, basically on just big BMXs. They're into their 24-inch wheels.
They do smooth out. Obviously, the wheels aren't going to be as strong, but they're pretty flipping strong. Those street wheels.
Any of those guys.
But it does smooth the stuff out, I think, having big wheels, whereas BMX can be pretty harsh on street stuff. Right, Mitchy McCaw. Why do some full suspension bikes have rear suspension on different spots? For example, some on the top tube, some on down tube, and some are close to the bottom bracket. So talking about different suspension designs, why are they different?
It's all different for the purpose of the bike. You see a lot more like cross-country bikes are more like designed to be efficient for pedaling, not so designed for like big hits. Whereas the downhill bikes will have different linkages and bigger shock leverage ratios, things like that. So that's
what I was looking for. There's that leverage ratio graph, and different designs give you different personalities of the bike. I would say some of it as well as marketing is that some bikes want to look different, so they'll look completely change it all. It's funny, you look at something like a motocross bike, and they all look very, very similar. It's all the same swing arm linkages, but mountain bikes slightly different. Okay, Marcel Miro, how do you measure rear shock travel?
Good question. If you're talking about shock stroke, obviously you can measure that, or the fitment to the bike, from like the eye to eye, or the shaft stroke as well. So if you measure how much that actual, you have like a little rubber ring on the shock, so you can actually measure how much that moves on its biggest hit. You can let all the air pressure, if you've got an air shock, let that pressure out, see how much that shock actually moves. But if you're talking about rear wheel travel, isn't it?
So fork's dead easy. There's obviously no linkage there. Whatever it travels is travel. Actually, we're talking about rear suspension. It's how much that rear axle moves vertically. So to actually get an accurate measurement of that, you can maybe stick something off the back of your saddle above the rear axle, but I think it's going to be very accurate to work out that. Best way really is just Google it, because all suspension mountain bikes, you're going to be able to find that information on the web. I would have thought measuring it is not that simple. Iron ore. I want to learn some more trial skills, and I'm finding it very difficult. Well, it is difficult riding trials. I am crap at it. You know that. Would buying a trials bike speed up the learning curve, and then would the skills roll over to the other bikes, or should I stop making excuses?
Well, trials, so as Don said, it's a really hard skill to master. A lot of different bikes out there. The 26-inch bikes that tend to be mostly on the market now are more aimed at like competition style trials, which means a lot of back wheel, like hopping around like a pogo stick everywhere. They're really bad, well, hard, not bad, but they're hard to ride on anything apart from the back wheel. So if you are learning trials, they are quite hard to get on with. I'd look for like a older school 26-inch bike, or a lot of the 24-inch bikes now are, you know, like Danny Mac rides, more like designed for streety stuff, and they're more, they would make trials more accessible. But you've got like the 20-inch bikes as well, which is more like big BMXs with fat tyres.
Pretty specialist,
yeah, really lightweight, but again, they're quite hard to go. I think like the 24-inch would be your best bet, and that would relate closer to a mountain bike.
I've seen you do plenty of trialsy stuff on a dirt jump hardtail.
Yeah, it depends what level you're going to do it at. If you're just learning those basic trials techniques, and as Don says, a normal sort of hardtail dirt jump bike would suffice for that stuff, as well as a normal trail bike. You can do all that stuff on full suspension, but it does make it harder. So if you're looking to get into it, like I think a 24-inch trials bike would speed up that learning process.
It totally crosses over. There's plenty of trials riders, push bike and motorbike, people like Warner, PT, who do that really well and are really, really good on a mountain bike because of that.
Yeah, it's definitely that trials backbone gives you mega skills out there no matter what you're riding.
Check out this park bench trials challenge.
I've got an idea. Let's do some challenges.
Okay. Challenges are good. Yep. What have we got?
That.
What's this?
This is the only obstacle we're allowed to ride. Let's call it the bench challenge. There you go. That's super trialy.
In there though. Get yourself ready.
Oh,
finally! Dude, you got it!
Bloody hell. Well, that's it. That's a good challenge. Sure tests your nerves, I tell you.
Okay, Ben Leach has got a question about the new Michelin Wild tyres that come on the new Nukeproofs. Sam Hill has been running some, I don't know if they're the same tyres, that's the thing.
Right.
He's asking us what we think of them. He knows we ride Continental tyres, but have we used them? I've never used them, but they came on my bike and they look pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't used a Michelin tyre for years now, but back when I did race, they were the brand to be riding, so they've definitely got that heritage and knowledge, and obviously they're a massive tyre manufacturer.
They used to be really big in the game, so I used to be sponsored by Michelin back in the early 2000s with Steve Pete's help, and they left to go to the World Rally. They completely took away their Downhill World Cup support. And now they seem to be back on the mountain bike scene in a big way. And I know Sam Hill likes those tyres. The ones he rode felt super, super soft.
Did they?
I checked them out on his bike check, but I don't think that they are production tyres yet, but they might well be coming.
They're going to be good coming from Michelin, guaranteed.
And if Sam was riding them, they're probably going to perform pretty well. Right, on to the quick fire round. I'm going to fire some at you, Chris, if you're ready.
Yep.
Make Eckert. Which way would be faster? A steady and not that steep, but long ascent? What? A steady but not that steep long ascent, or a short steep ascent and then a long flat?
I'm confused already.
I'm confused.
Let's move on.
It depends. Josh Foster. So I recently had a crash and I'm off the bike for about 2 to 3 months. How can I stay sane?
watching videos, think watch GMBN, watch EMBN, anything bike related, any videos is going to keep you
getting the rehab. Well, I think I'm sure we've both done this. You will love it when you get back on your bike. So just keep watching stuff, I reckon. Ethan Gauch, hey guys, love show. Thank you very much. I've got a 2008 GTS M5 XC bike. I don't know that one. With a stock generic 110mm core fork. He's upgraded the brakes, wider bars, short stem. Rides the bike aggressively. Should I upgrade my fork and make the travel longer, or save money while riding my bike at the moment for a trail hardtail?
Upgrading's always like a hard thing. I think you need to look at what you're doing, and unless you're better than your actual bike at the moment, I wouldn't go spending a load of money on that bike upgrading it. I'd probably save that money and probably put it towards a better bike in the end.
Yeah, well, try and work it out. Write it down. How much these things are going to cost you? How much the new bike will cost you? How much can you sell your old bike for? And then how much do you think you really want that bike and weigh it all up? Yeah. Anyway. Okay, Alex Sabas, is it worth getting a dropper post on my beginner mountain bike?
I think a dropper post is one of the biggest upgrades. I think it's one of the things that I don't usually go without on a bike now. You know,
they're getting cheaper as well. So worth it, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
PLM Rubio gets a lot of pinch flats when jumping, so I decided to ride higher pressures, but I think I'm not as aggressive now. Is riding tubeless worth it? Do you ride tubeless?
I do, yeah, on all my bikes actually, yeah, even for jumping. I know Sam Pilgrim and Matt Jones, a few of those like high-level dirt jump guys still run tubes purely because they don't like that sort of tyre deforming under, you know, extreme sort of takeoffs and things like that.
You see it occasionally like Crankworks, people like Regatkin doing their mental spins and overshoots or over-rotates and it will just poof. There's so much force going through it.
Exactly, yeah. I think
they run tubes. You often see a tube come flying out.
Yeah, a little tyre squirm, you know, you land a rotation slightly off axis or something, you will spurt a load of sealant out. So depends. I think you need to look at your tyre pressures you're running those tubes at. If you're running a tube, I know Pilgrim and those guys 80 to 100 psi sometimes on the skate park. So big pressures in tubes.
And if you're pinching whilst jumping, I would check out your technique as well. You might be casing jumps. I mean, we've all done it. Fire and Ice, GMBN, would you recommend a 29er or 29-inch?
What are you thinking? I like the sign of that 29er.
Don't get it.
You like the 29-inch?
29-inch. I don't know what difference is. Anyway, nice one. Thanks for your questions. As ever, leave your questions down below and we'll try and get around to answering them next week.
If you've enjoyed today's show, be sure to check out me and Blake Sampson on our Trials Challenge. That's up here as well.
Good trial skills. And if you want to see a video on how to learn that rear wheel lift, click over here. Thumbs up if you love us trying to answer your questions, and hit that subscribe button.